now, it looks like any other big building site. Concrete, rivets, and steel. But soon, it's going to be much more than just a building. This will be one of the world's great treasure houses, a showcase for human history and endeavor. This will be the Canadian Museum of Civilization. 2 years from now, thousands of people will be on this site. They will come to marvel and to wonder, for here will be a world-class cultural center among the most modern in the universe. Here will be much more than a museum. Here will be an experience, the experience of mankind. The staff of the Canadian Museum of Civilization are dedicated to the care of our cultural heritage. They study and collect, preserve and exhibit the things that have helped make us what we are today. The Museum of Civilization is a vast storehouse of the stuff of Canada. It holds huge collections in archaeology, ethnology, history, and folk art. The new museum, which opens its doors in July 1989, will have exhibition areas 4 times the size of its old location. To house the exhibits, a building that is itself a work of art. Architect Douglas Cardinal.
The image that I wanted to create with the museum was to be a symbol of our heritage. It was to be a building that evolved from the land and from the people. I wanted a building to look like it was sculpted out of stone, but sculpted from the winds and the water and the erosion of the glaciers, that it appeared like it was a rock form that through time was sculpted, much like the continents evolved and became forms and then were eroded and sculpted by the elements of nature. I wanted the building to personify the natural environment and man evolving from the natural environment. I wanted the building to be able to express and personify man as well. Man, as we know man, emerging from the glaciers, and modern man with the evolution of the various cultures and civilizations that we have on this continent.
Here, where it is still a world of stone and mortar, there will be a world of ice and water, rock and forest and plain. In these spaces, we will recreate the Canadian landscape. When the doors open, it will have taken 20 years, 2 decades, to fulfill a dream, to bring a vision to life.
When we were planning the new Canadian Museum of Civilization, we asked ourselves, what do we really have in our collections that are world-class and that we want to invite the world here to see? It was clear that the collection of totem poles that we had and of monumental carvings from the northwest coast was the one category that fitted best that description. It also required a space which was at least 50 feet in height because that's the height of the highest totem poles we have. So we built this space, which is the Grand Hall of the new museum. It has a footprint the size of a football field, and it has 50 feet of clear ceiling height. Certainly this makes it one of the grand spaces of the National Capital Area, and a space where we plan to have all sorts of heads of state visits and festivities for the people of Canada on our major national celebration days. On one side of the Grand Hall is triple glazed windows to help shut out the harsh winter environment of Canada. And on the other side, we will have a Northwest Coast Indian village reconstructed in its entirety with a forest backdrop, with all of the painted house fronts, and with all of our totem poles put back in context in which you would have seen them had you visited the Northwest Coast in the late 1800s, or if you have seen the paintings of Emily Carr when she visited those villages.
With new laser technology, we are able to transmit three-dimensional pieces, like the sculpted head, anywhere in the world. An exact replica can be laser milled, recarved by 20th century technology. Schools or other museums on the receiving end of this computerized link-up can get almost the real thing. Touch it, feel it, wonder at it. A piece of art sometimes hundreds of years old, recreated by technology still in its infancy. As the custodian of some 3 million national historical treasures, the Museum of Civilization is conscious of its responsibility to show as many of the treasures as possible. This will be much easier in a complex that contains almost 1 million square feet of floor space. The Canadian Museum of Civilization will become one of the technological wonders of the world, giving Canada a showplace, a treasure house, and a home for international scholarship.
Canada has many national heroes, but one of my favorites is Marshall McLuhan. McLuhan came up with the term the global village, and it's a term that has now spread around the world to talk about the fact that all communities are now linked together and mankind is interdependent on each other for the maintenance of civilization. And of course, that's what this museum is devoted to. Behind me, as the workmen put this together, is the realization of McLuhan's concept of the global village.
It's been a huge project, and it's a long way from being completed. But it's coming, and it's something you can't afford to miss. We're almost there.